everyone, John at Midnight Paint and Body with you here again. On this video, we're going to tackle cab corners and rocker panels on this 03 Dodge truck. So just to show you guys what we're using here, so if you've done these before, you recognize how these cab corners come. Now with these style of parts, I see a lot of guys will try and fit it up to the panel and cut it right where the panel ends. The idea with this stuff is to trim to the size you need. You don't have to use all the metal. I typically will cut these below that body line, and then it's a little less fitting. Other ways may work better for you. And then the rocker panels, there are a few different styles. There's full rocker panels that are going to go right into the original spot welds. And there's these stamped rocker panels, a little more inexpensive, but they work just fine. I use them quite a bit. And so that's what we're going to be using today. And I'll try my best to give you guys a bit of a step-by-step on it. So now what I typically do on these, I'll take a roll of 3/4 inch tape, and right where the step rolls over, if I can find the end of the tape here, I like to run a tape line kind of level with where that rolls. And that's going to give me a nice straight line, and that's usually where I do my initial cut. Now these have a rolled top edge where you can roll over there. Again, I prefer to take these, I trim that rolled edge off so that I'm just kind of ending at that edge and I can weld that solid, and you can finish this with just about no body filler. It needs a little bit of a skiff to fill in some of the weld, but I find that works well for me. So let's get started. So I should have mentioned too that as well as cutting here, I'm also going to cut right in at the pinch weld along the bottom, just the initial cut to get all this stuff out of the way, and then we'll go back in and we'll deal with the pinch weld area once this is off. Turns out I lost a little video there, so I'm going to have to backtrack a little bit here for you guys. So what I've done here, I've taken my grinder with a wire wheel on it, and I've taken all the rust I can off of the inner rocker panel. So just kind of the heavy, flaky stuff. I've knocked it all off, and then I've just brush painted a coat of POR 15 rust paint over top. If you're not familiar with that product, it's a really good rust preventative paint. The POR actually stands for paint over rust. So what it does, it really encapsulates that rust, and it just keeps it locked in so that it's going to be a lot less of a problem in the future. See, it's coming apart by itself here. And then I've taken the cab corner and I've kind of trimmed it to where I want it. So like I said, there's no need to go up here. I mean, as you can see, the rust ends here. there's no rust up here. We don't need to cut that high. So then I've loosely fit the cab corner, which I tried to record before, but I've lost. And I took a Sharpie and just made a line there. And like I said before, but we missed it, I'm not going to cut on that line immediately. We are going to butt weld this in. But I've just cut a little bit below it just to start trimming. So we're going to get this out of the way. And then we'll finish the trim and finish getting the rest of this pinch weld part off. And then whenever you're getting into something like this, before you cut into something, if you don't know, take the interior panels out, make sure you're not cutting into insulation, wiring, and house nests, whatever. In this case, I've done about 700,000 of these Scotch cab corners, so I know that they're open in there. So we're just going to carry on with that. And then, I just noticed looking at this whole truck's the 2003. It's had cab corners before. You can see the MIG wire in there and the weld right there. So the last guy went to about here. And actually it looks like he only went on the outside. So they just put a piece in there. So yeah, it's not our first rodeo. So I just want to show you guys here, I've gone ahead and fitted up this cab corner a little better. Still a little fine tuning to do, but I just kind of wanted to give you an idea. So when I do these, I like to butt weld them whenever I can, so you're not overlapping the metal and leaving an area for moisture to get in and create new rust. So you can see I've got, yeah, a little more kind of grinding and filing to do, but it's real close. So just wanted to kind of give you the idea what I go for when I do these. I like them to fit real nice. And something to remember too, I mean, I'll hit on this again a little later again, but before everything's final welded, I mean, obviously we're still going to go ahead and get the rocker panel fitted up. But you always need to put this door back on before you final weld, just to be sure your gap is right. Because if you just go ahead and burn all that together and then throw your door on, it doesn't fit, well, you're in for a whole bunch of extra work again. So, all right, so we'll come back and then revisit this again in a bit, and hopefully we'll be moving on to the rocker panel. Hey everyone, I'm back. Hey, so it's Monday morning now. It's been a couple of days. Apparently the elves didn't come in over the weekend and do any work on this. I'm kind of not sure how that works for the TV guys, but if you know how I can make that happen, let me know. So I've got everything kind of loosely fitted up here. Things are pretty close. I'm going to bring you in for a little closer look. Okay, so this is just a loose fit with some vice grips, but I've got it real close. I'll push it into place a little better before I weld, but I'll show you that again. So where we're sitting now, everything's in place. You can see the rocker is in place. Now when you use this style of rocker, they don't come formed for this area here. So that just takes some minor tweaking. I shaped it a little bit just with some flat bill locking pliers. I know it's more fun to watch those guys that, mine their own ore and make their own sheet metal and make their own pieces using nothing but tools they got out of a factory that closed in 1903, but I'm not that guy, and most of us aren't. So I'm just kind of trying to help you guys along with something you might be able to tackle yourselves. So this is the inside of the rocker panel. I coated it with that same rust preventative paint that I used on the inner rockers, just so everything's kind of sealed up when it's all welded together. Now we're just going to put holes along this bottom flange here where we're going to plug weld it to the pinch weld on the bottom of the truck. Now, of course, you can just take a drill and do these, but if you have one of these, this is a pretty slick tool. And just in case you're wondering, if you're a Canadian guy like myself, yeah, Power Fist, good old Princess Auto. So I've put a couple of tack welds on the cab corner. I've got it sitting in place. And you might remember I mentioned earlier to always put the door back on to make sure you have a good fit. So that's what I've done now. I've got the door on the truck. I am happy with the gap. But this is your last chance. If I needed to move this cab corner a little bit, I can obviously wiggle it around. If I need to knock one of my welds loose, get it exactly where it needs to be. But in this case, I'm actually really happy with it. It worked out the first shot. So there you go, guys. I am going to take that door back off and continue with some welding. So I've moved on to some welding here. So I've left about a 1/4 inch flange underneath of the original rocker panel. So that's why you see I put some weld through primer on there, so there's something in between. I usually like to butt weld, but with these I think it gives them just a little bit extra strength. And once you get to doing the welding, of course, always make sure the battery's unhooked in the vehicle. These modern computerized vehicles, you can hook a lot of stuff if you don't unhook that. And when you get to the welding, don't go trying to make one big, huge, long pass. You want to kind of work your way along. I'm doing about 1/2 inch spots on this because there is some strength with that roll there. If you go ahead and just try and burn that all the way across, your sheet metal is going to be more work than a Tarantino movie. So just be careful, take your time. So here's our cab corner and rocker panel all welded up. So as you can see, I've welded that full seam all the way along. And I've joined it in at the front there. And the plug welds along the bottom. So I'm going to get this all cleaned up and then we'll have one more look at it. So here's another quick look for you guys with the welds cleaned up. So as you can see looking at that, it just needs to be finished off with a minimal amount of body filler. Just squeeze a little bit over those welds and sand it smooth. It's not going to take much at all. So she's nice and solid. So there you have it. There's one side of the truck welded up, rocker panel and cab corner. I apologize for some of the sound quality in the video there, guys. I do all of this on my cell phone, so I just do the best I can. Hopefully I'll get some improvement on that in the near future. And keep in mind with all these kind of repairs, this can be done with a panel bonding adhesive. So I know not everyone has a welder or has had the opportunity to learn to weld. So I'm going to try and bring you some videos in the near future doing rust repair panels with panel bonding adhesive for glue. For the guys that, may not have access to welding equipment. So again, thanks for watching. I surely appreciate it. If there's anything at all you would like to see, any how-to videos, anything more in depth, definitely let me know. If you have any comments at all, I'll do my best to bring it to you. And again, if you can hit the subscribe button for me, that really helps me out to keep these coming. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.